All right, all right, all right. Well, well, well. You know what it is, and you know what it ain't. Herb Lewis and I, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the controversial counselor, is back for another open court discussion, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube from the StreamYard platform. Last Monday, we had a record breaking broadcast. I think it was over 4 hours and 15 minutes, talking about the topic, why do parents put children in their adult business? Tonight, the main topic will be inside a black man's mind. So we're going to be talking about pretty much what goes on inside a black man's mind. We will add one other essential talking point from last week. Women and children can be careless, but not men. What does it mean? Also, you know what time it is. Stay put around 9:30 p.m. The Can You Solve Herbs Riddle contest for the $20 Cash App stimulus package. Last week, Amy Desso Maddox retained her title, but it was a fierce battle that lasted until Wednesday with close to 1,300 responses. So stop sitting back in the background and join the fun. Your chance is just as good as any. So here we are tonight. Now, I got this message. All right. So we here. Again, how's everybody doing on this Monday night? Yeah, last week was fierce, so we ready to let y'all know what's going on inside a black man's mind. What's going on, Herb? How you doing?
Yeah, man, just another Monday, man. Another Matic Monday, as the song says, man. Making my way through what's been a long 36, almost 48 hours, starting out with the games on Sunday. I tried to catch the Bills game, man. Ended up falling asleep, getting up, going to work, and then I had a live stream about 11 o'clock that lasted about 3 hours. Got some sleep, did some things, and I'm back at it again.
Yeah, that was a game, but I ain't gonna get too deep into it because I know right now in Western New York they going through the emotions. I keep getting this message. Let me read this. It looks like broadcast was deleted on Facebook. The stream on Facebook create a new broadcast or just remove the destination from the broadcast, then re-add it. Heads up, Facebook requires you to go live before 9:09. I don't know what the hell they talking about. I was on there before that. So anyways, shout out to Kim for joining us. Hey, Amy, the champ is back. Good evening. So I don't know if anybody can, if anybody's going through Facebook and watching this, just share it to my page. So I don't know what StreamYard is talking about, that it's not live on Facebook, but you know how this technical difficulties go. But as I was saying, I'm not going to get into it because I know it was Heartbreak Hotel for Western New York. Buffalo is my second favorite team. I just felt like a lot of the fans, I know they were excited about, Buffalo doing well. It's been a while, but when you ain't won nothing, sometimes you just got to have your excitement and humble yourself. Just humble yourself. It was a lot of talking like they've won before. And I kept saying, when the lights get bright, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. And that goes for anything. Job interviews, a first date with someone, presentations, anything. When those lights get bright, you have to be ready. And I guess Buffalo, they wasn't ready yet, but they'll be back. They'll be back. But we're not going to make this into a sports segment. Hello, Tasha. Thanks for joining. And Marita, thanks for joining. Hello, Ebony. Thanks for joining. So, Herb, man, what's going on in a black man's mind, man? That's a complex subject right there. That's a complex subject, man, because we got a lot going on in our mind.
Yeah, I was putting together a written piece, but I didn't get to finish it in time just due to all the things that I had been trying to accomplish this week. So what I'm going to do as I'm going to finish that, and I will put that probably in one of the rebroadcasts. So stay tuned for the rebroadcast and look for that, and that'll give you a little bit of uh, written prose into what some of us go through. And I think a lot of people, they have the misconception of thinking we all go through the same things at the same time. And while it holds true, everything is nuanced to the individual. We all make decisions. We all pretty much make the same decisions, just at different times. Some of us, our development is arrested for whatever reason, be it that we were raised without, good male influences. Our communities were bad, homes may have been equally as bad. We got a poor education. There's so many things that go into being a Native Black American male in this country that literally a book to be written, not only on the topic, but a book to be written about each individual male and their own private hell that they go through. It reminds me of the movie Tuskegee Airmen, when they called the Lieutenant David O. Benjamin to Congress, and they were talking about disbanding the unit, and he went into a soliloquy regarding all that, and he said, every one of those soldiers went through their own private hell to wear those wings. He said, are we to be Americans when the mood suits? And sometimes that's how we feel, navigating these treacherous waters that we call America. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying we're not happy to shoulder some of that load. We shoulder that load with pride. But with that pride, ultimately, we pay a heavy price. We take an inordinate amount of blame. We take an inordinate amount of risk, especially those of us who are poorly educated. We fall victim to the streets because we think that type of lifestyle is profitable. And the only thing that profits is distance. Now, personally, I've never fell victim to that. I had some good guys. I had some bad guys, and the bad guys were probably the best guys because they showed me what not to do. They told me, look, you're too smart for these streets. We got you in these streets, we gonna beat your ass. Literally, word for word. What I was told sometimes. So we don't want to see you getting your hands dirty. We want to see you go ahead and make something of yourself. These streets is no place for you. Now, whether they were wrong or right is immaterial. The fact that they actually took the time to bestow that wisdom upon you. And they see things in us, the younger people, that we don't see in ourselves. And sometimes that's lost because a lot of us are in the seas as unguided ships. And when that storm hits, because we're unguided, we don't know how to seek safety. We think safety is being in the storm, when we don't realize we need to take refuge, just like anyone else, from that storm. So we do things, and it doesn't make sense. You have to think about where that individual is in their particular life, in their maturation process. And if they're doing things based on a long-term gain or a short-term gain. Because there's some brothers who are here who live in day to day. They're not even living paycheck to paycheck. That paycheck doesn't exist in a paycheck is the next hustle they come up on. Next person they can rip off. The next game they come up. And those are just the brothers on the streets. We're not even talking about the brothers that are actually doing right by society, by their families, by their wives, maybe their girlfriends, children, families. We see that a lot with athletes. The first thing they do when they make it, go buy their mother a house. They're not obligated to do that. That's something that should already be in place when they are born. So they don't have to worry about providing for their mothers. They don't have to worry about providing for their families. This is why a lot of Black men can never get ahead, because they're always supporting the family that isn't biologically theirs. And when I say biologically, I'm talking about a family that they created of their own loin. So when you have men who actually get out into the world and they make something of themselves, they're constantly being asked, can I borrow some money? Can I crash at your place? And it's hard, extremely difficult to continue to walk through life trying to battle that world when you have your own demons to deal with. And some people think we don't have demons to deal with. We just don't talk about it. So what happened on last week's show with you not disclosing you were a father. That's a private issue that we don't always discuss, even among ourselves. And this is why Kevin Samuels' acknowledgement to the Godfather and the yeoman's job he's doing. This is why he says, as Blacks, we need therapy. We need to be able to sit down and discuss those things without fear of being judged. Because it's as if every time we speak, we're being juxtaposed against what somebody else said,
Well,
somebody else feel. I mean, the list is endless.
before we get deep into all that, I mean, all of that's gonna come back up. How you doing, Rebecca?
I'm fine, sweetie. How are you?
I'm fine. Whatever. Another day. Whatever. Another
I got a
episode.
hat on too.
All right. I respect that hat life, that hat game. Appreciate it. So, for me, Nuki Moore in the house. What's going on, Nuki? Um, for me, with all these subjects, yeah, a lot of it, as far as Black men, we kind of pick and choose. We don't always openly express everything. We kind of feel the situation out before we start talking. And which for some Black women, that may be an issue because they may feel, okay, I'm being open and honest. Why don't you give me what I'm giving you? But sometimes it just take us for a while. And like Herbert said, there's no cookie cutter approach. There's no one size fit all model. It depends on the individual. But I wanted to just talk about different layers tonight. And I know Herbert mentioned something about education. So one of the talking points I had was Black men raised by low income parents face twice the risk of remaining stuck in intergenerational poverty. 38% of us. We will we ever live to see this change? That was one of the questions I had asked. Will this ever change? And what is being put in place to turn the tide? Because we put all these programs out there. We have elections, president after president, Congress people and stuff like that. But we still seem to be stuck in the same position. So years ago, the hot phrase was "no child left behind." But I guess that does not pertain to adults being left behind. And it seemed like the little Black boys end up being little Black men, and we're being left behind. The gap between the income is it's nice. It's a considerable amount. So what are we doing, people, to move forward towards that? And that's one of the things I wanted to know because, hey, and I know on Anwar podcast, they were talking about one of the points came up about kind of like the struggles in the struggles in education, and especially amongst Black boys. How do we turn that around when people are some of our Black boys are being turned off of education and they're using test scores from the third grade to determine how many prisons to build and all that stuff. So that says a lot, whatever, when you're in the third grade and folks are looking at those scores to determine because their scores are so low. All right, now let's start putting into place prisons because they don't think that we can make it if you have a certain low reading score. So, man, I think that has a lot to do with the reading comprehension, and that's because a lack of reading in the homes. And I don't think these video games made anything any better, and especially this pandemic. So who knows when we go back to school, what's going to happen as far as that?
Yeah, it's to follow that up. One of the things that I always tell my mentees is this: I want you to read at least 15 minutes a day. I don't care what it is. 15 minutes per day. Because I asked the deputy chief of police here, I said, I'm putting together a program. And I said, I want to know what is one of the things that they need to do to pass the civil service requirement. And he said, man, it's just as simple as reading and comprehension. I said, that's it? He said, yeah. He said, a lot of these kids that come out, man, they can't read and they can't comprehend. He said, that really just sinks them before they can get started. So, psychologists say that playing classical music and reading to your child in vitro helps their cognitive ability tremendously. Now, I don't have the ability to do that, obviously. So that falls on the maternal aspect of our people across the spectrum. Anytime I've been involved with a female, I always try and create an environment where she feels safe in my presence. So if she comes to my home, even if it's the first time, I want to create an atmosphere to where she feels safe and secure. She doesn't have to worry about her well-being. And this is one of the things that Saria brought up when I said, how do you determine if a man is just after one thing? This is one of the things that she was talking about, where you just don't do that because you can't feel safe. You can't let your guard down because you don't know who's trying to take advantage of it. Welcome to what it is to being a black man in this country. We don't know who's trying to get over on us. We don't know if somebody's trying to set us up. We don't know if somebody's trying to drug us and do a Cardi B incident. Now, we know what happened to Bill. After Bill was wrongly convicted, and when I say wrongly convicted, understand what I'm saying. When he gave that deposition in court, that was supposed to be sealed. And nobody was ever supposed to know about that testimony. That's why he gave it. And they turned around, broke that law to convict him. But here it is that Cardi B still running her ass around free after admittedly talking about drugging black men and robbing them, which is a felony. How is it that we can't get equal justice under the law, but that law is universally applied to us? So we spend decades in jail for crimes that nobody else is persecuted for. How is it that we can't even get a fair shake in a country that we helped to shape, or at least our forefathers helped to shape, by giving their bodies to war, giving their bodies to construction costs, death, working till they die prematurely? The average black man works until he dies. Retirement? What's that? Collecting on your pension? We're going to leave that for the wife and kids, if there was a wife. Those are all the things that we don't get to partake in that everybody else does.
And let me add to that, and I want the ladies to get a chance to say something. And you brought up a valuable point when you said retirement and we work till we die, and which is so unfortunate. And I could think about one of the teachers that work at my school. He probably put in, I don't know, it might have been 45, 50 years. And then he finally retired. He was a brother. And maybe within a couple months after that, and the only reason he was working to kind of keep the flow going with his family. I think he was helping out some of his children and still working. And then a couple months later, he died. That can't be the plight. That can't be how it has to be. And I know for a lot it is that somehow things have to change. And to me, that is, that's sad when you work all those years and you never get to enjoy it. And so when people always say, "Oh, I got 4 more years to retirement," and all that stuff, and then you think about it like, damn, what does that really mean? Does that mean it's about time for you to punch your clock to death after that? Or are you going to be able to sit back and enjoy life finally? So I don't know. A lot of times that's not the case with us, but I'm sure we'll come back to that point. And I don't want y'all to just be sitting here, ladies. What's good? How y'all doing? Talk to me.
I think a lot of the points he made just weren't specifically about Black men, but just men in general and women too. There are a lot of us out here that are going to work until we die. I'll probably be one of them. Although I have a pension, I will probably just work out of choice. I need something to do. I don't want nobody to give me no damn grandkids. But I think that what he said about Black men not getting justice and Cardi B running around here free, again, I think that can go both ways, all 4 ways. That just doesn't apply to Black men and Black women. And
let me ask you a question. Have you looked at the sentencing disparities between what women serve and what men serve for the same crime?
No, but I believe you when you say it that they're different, but society treats women like we're fragile pieces of glass anyway. So, and those were laws made by men. So, y'all did that, not us.
Hold on.
Not to say that it's fair that women are sentenced lighter than men, but y'all are the ones. Men made those laws, and y'all make sure that women don't get paid what men get paid. Y'all always try to keep us one or 2 steps underneath you. So why be mad that we get less time for the same crime? Y'all did that.
Let me correct you. Black men didn't do a motherfucking thing.
Okay, well, men in general did it. Maybe not Black men, but if you want to be specific, those are white laws made by white people, but they apply. They go across the board, but I bet you dimes to dollars if you were to do the research, Black women probably get more time for the equal crime of white women. Not sure, but I'm just saying women in general have always been 2 steps behind a man. So I don't understand why any man would be upset about how that goes when it benefits you and when it does not benefit you. If we were doing the exact same job, chances are, not always, you would get paid more. And if I were your wife, you probably wouldn't have a problem with it. Maybe you would, maybe you would not. So you can't have it both ways. Don't be upset whether it's right or not. Don't be upset about a woman being treated like a fragile piece of glass when that's where y'all put us at. That's exactly where we were put at. And I'm not saying you specifically, but I know you understand what I mean when I say y'all, that we were put there. And so you can't be mad about putting us in our proverbial place, and it's not fair for you.
This is what we try when we talk about these type of topics. We are specific. Black men in this country, at any time of our existence, have never had any political power to the point where we could put a law into place that targeted us. We didn't get the right to vote until after the Civil War. And once Reconstruction ended, that was neutered. So every Black male politician that was in office was summarily ran out of office. The carpetbaggers that came down from the North, they were removed. So this is what we keep trying to impress upon people is that black men, Native Black American males, have had no power in this government.
But neither have we.
Actually,
So,
that's right now, as it stands, for every one Native Black American male that sits in a political office or political position, there's 6 women, 6 Native Black American women.
okay, and is that because they're running and being elected and y'all are not?
That's because they put you in a position to lead. But y'all don't see that.
You feel like they put black women in a position to lead before a black man?
Yes. Why do you think?
Stop to think that maybe people just don't trust the word of men anymore?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely they
I
don't.
mean, I just want to throw that out there because let's put this into context. Men are the ones who created all these laws that everybody's disgruntled about.
See, hold on.
Created all these laws, and I live in Louisiana. I live in a state that is very male forward.
I want to
male forward that when I wanted to borrow money from my pension that I work hard for, I had to get my husband's permission to get my money that I work for.
Hold on. I don't want to interrupt you, but I need to. I want the statements to be factual and specific.
Those are facts.
Those are factual, and that is very specific. We live in a country where men.
But to keep in.
Now let me be clear. Let me be a little bit more clear.
Call it what it is.
In certain given situations, men have the upper hand in situations. Let's face it, for many years, a woman could not have her own bank account. She had to be attached to her husband. Her husband was in control of everything. And I mean, we're not talking that long ago that women finally got the privilege of having their own damn bank accounts and being in charge of their own money. For the longest time, everything was in the care of a man. For the longest time, women could not vote. Everything. And a lot of these laws still stand. It's always men first, and then women, we gotta holler, kick, and scream and do all kinds of stuff just to get our just due. So when a man complains about all the things that he can't do, there are a lot of things that you guys have had the privilege of being able to do that a woman could never do before.
Yeah, men out here deciding.
There's a lot of things that men still can do, like in the corporate role. Let's be for real. In corporate role, come on now.
Let me say this.
Pressed to feel bad. Not to say wrong is wrong. Don't get me wrong about that, but she's right. Men, whether they're white men or non-black men making these laws, they were for men. Those laws were put in place to benefit a man, and maybe black men were not included in that.
We know that,
but they
still
benefited a man before they would benefit a woman. So y'all felt like y'all were in last place. Women in general, whether we were black or another,
we just didn't exist at all.
We were still behind y'all. So have black men had it hard? Fuck yeah, but guess what? Black women was right there running a close motherfucking second, right with you.
Let me say this.
Right there, we was right there with you.
Let me say this, and I don't. For me, in my perspective, I look at the struggle as equal. If black men, black women, the struggle is equal. Because we know that these laws and everything put in place. So I don't give a damn who's in office when everybody was hooper and hollering a brand new day with Biden and Kamala, Madam Harris, the vice president. The laws are still the goddamn same.
Come holler and say that, and then what do black people get out of it?
Nothing.
We get all these promises, and then what do we get for it?
Nothing.
Because we don't actually take the time to say, this is what we want. You want our vote? These are the requirements for us to make this move. We don't take that. We don't put that effort forth to actually look out for ourselves. We live on these promises when, I mean, let's look at it in perspective. Let's say you're going to get a car, right? You're going to get a car and you want to rent this car, lease this car, whatever, you want to buy this car. You need to have some kind of money up front if you really want to walk off the lot with this car. And then you got to be willing to sign some paperwork to make it happen. So where is the contract? Where is it that we're having them sign off that they're actually going to stick to their word on anything? There's nothing.
You got to think about it. You have good credit.
We're still walking around in the day and age of verbal handshakes, essentially. I promise you that if you put me in office, I'm gonna get you that minimum wage and I'm gonna help y'all get jobs. And then what? Where we at?
Hoodwinked again.
You really truly have to be willing to get out here and grind some more. To get what you want. And some of us is built for that. Some of us are not. Some of us are in situations where it truly is impossible to do better, to be better. And some of us won't ask for help, and some of us won't be helped, and again, that runs through all racial lines, but I've been here in Texas. I go into some of these predominantly Latino communities, and when I say them fools support one another, they will
live in a house together and penny pinch and put their money together until one family can afford to move out, and they will just keep doing it until everybody got their own.
Thank you. To make sure that one can get out, and Black people.
Why don't we do that?
We can't live in the same house together. We'd be ready to kill each other. Because don't nobody.
They make it how everybody feels like they're struggling so much that they just don't have time to stop and help the next person. Or people will say, I did it, so you need to go ahead on and do it, not realizing for me to make it through college was a group effort. My whole family stepped up and watched my kids for free while I was in school. And now that I have made it, I did the same for my kids. My daughter just moved back home so that she could buy a house. And I have all my kids back home right now so that they can go to school, work, buy a house, whatever it is they're going to do. And the four of us, we stick together. We're all that we got. We stick together, but I'm a firm believer, in helping your neighbor. That whole thing about helping your neighbor. And if more people would be willing to pay just a little bit forward, you'd be surprised at how far that would go and helping, the next person trying to achieve. And I think this whole thing about why white people are in such a stir about, President Trump not being elected again is sometimes people just don't want, it's not so much that they don't want us to have shit. They just don't want us to have what they got. Don't nobody want to be equal. The thought of being equal disturbs some people. Some people always need somebody to look down on.
We can overcome that. We can overcome that by sticking together, and that's the issue. But I want to read.
It sounds good on paper, Dave. That sounds.
I know that. I know that.
But you know what? There have been periods in history where we actually did that. We actually did that. But you know what? People saw how successful we were doing things on our own as a community, and they come in and they come in there and burn our shit straight to the ground.
I want to read Dietrich's comment. He said, "This is the order: first, white man; two, white woman; three, black women; lastly, black man. Y'all need to study history."
I don't need to study history. I know that.
Neither do I.
But y'all act like we in a high third place. We ain't in no high third.
You might as well say that third place is tied between a black man and a black woman.
Like I said, we're equal. We're all equal.
Hell don't feel that lucky.
I would
some damn days.
We're equal. So don't nobody need to study.
My pain is your pain.
And actually, you really need to flip that around, because really, white women run shit. Act like white women run shit.
All right, Herb, go ahead. Is it riddle time?
Exactly.
Because a white man will never admit that the white woman was the one sitting in the office doing all the damn books on his company that helped him to get that startup money and all that stuff. They'll never admit that shit.
White women win elections. They win elections for you. When they come out and vote, that's when you see stuff happening. So, yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but that's a different realm. Let me read the riddle as I put it into the chat. before becoming a law? Murray or William Shorten? Once
Oh,
again,
that's
Lorenzo said,
easy. Bill.
there you go.
God, come on,
What
man.
did he say?
Come on, man.
Come on now, you took that from Schoolhouse Rock.
Come on, man.
Real white Schoolhouse Rock coming up. Like, as soon as you started saying the first part, I was like, man, that's easy. I know that one.
Wow. Congratulations, Latoya. Damn,
That's
that was
my
like
public school social studies education right
Yeah.
there.
Oh, Murray or William Shortened. I didn't hear it, but that's cute.
that was like 0.5 seconds it was asked.
World record.
I'm only a bill. I remember that. I remember that Schoolhouse Rock song.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
White women control the purse strings.
Money runs everything, baby. So
Hold
there you
on,
go.
Hold on.
Pretty
But what-
There
much.
you go.
And that's her.
Because
Bill.
ain't nothing for free, so money does run everything.
Thank you. If
Think
white
about
women
it.
control
Hold
money, then
on.
that's it.
Huh. You
Oh.
ain't got it, you can't get it.
Even then, at the inception of this country, they still had no voting power. So while they controlled the purse strings, they didn't control the vote. That was specifically for land holding Caucasian males. This is why Dietrich said y'all need to study your history, because y'all won't believe it when it comes to it. I'm gonna put that out there. There's a lot of nuances that y'all don't understand, and it leads you to make some of the statements that you do. This is why when I push
it did not. Just
No.
because I didn't get into anything specific, just because you control the voting power, don't mean I ain't controlling you.
Exactly.
Just because you get to speak for the both of us, don't mean that I'm not.
What is
staying
it y'all
right
always
behind you
talk
running
about?
shit.
The
So
power
just
of the
because-
nana. You don't know what sweet nothings
you.
women are whispering in the ears of these men when they climbing in bed with them. That
We-
power of
Shit,
persuasion
y'all
and
keep-
suggestion
y'all
is a
keep
hell of a
believing that
thing if
white
you know
women
how to
ain't
use
running
it.
shit.
we have never said anything to the contrary.
You just said,
I-
boy said we need to know our history. And what we're saying is just because we didn't say specifically doesn't mean that we did not know. We know when women got a right to vote and purchase things and all the rest of that stuff, but that don't mean they wasn't the shot callers.
Hold on. You're gonna have to go to your replay, Herb, in the comments. So people saying they typed it in before Latoya said it. So you're gonna have to go back to the replay.
Oh
booth.
Lord,
Wait,
just give the
it's
money to
$20.
somebody else. It's just $20. It's not that serious. I just like riddles. I really don't care about the money. I just like the stimulation.
I'm just saying.
Money's just a bonus.
I'm gonna let Herb. That's his thing. Whatever. He the commissioner of that riddle thing.
You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from the plight of the black man, because I know it has been a struggle. Because as a black woman, I have struggled and have watched black men struggle. I'm not taking anything away from
Hell,
that,
I've been there on the ground struggling with them.
you know, but don't think it's been easy for us. It might, just because it might have been a smidge ahead of y'all, that really ain't saying much.
Let me put it to
I
you
just
like
want to say one thing. Like when he made the comment about how Cardi B was like, she admitted to like drugging men and taking their money. Here's the thing about the law. She could admit it all she wants to, but if ain't nobody coming forward to say, hey, I was one of her victims, there's no crime. It's just like she just talking just to hear herself speak.
there's no
Nobody's coming forward to say, hey, I was one of those people that she drugged and she stole my money.
why do you
And
think
then
that
they have statutes of limitations on these things. So
but
depending on how long ago it is.
frustrates me when I speak about these things? The statute of limitations was up for Bill Cosby.
They wanted to make an example out of him. That's all that was.
You just mentioned the statute of limitations, but we skirt one for one person and not for the other.
Didn't he have new charges within?
No, the statute of limitations have been exceeded.
Nope, that's
Okay.
not necessarily
Well, for
true
every
because
Bill
one of them was
Cosby
saying
for every Bill
the
Cosby
last
that
person
goes to
that came
jail,
forward, they were
there's,
trying to say that she was within the
there's
time
somebody
limit
else
to
that
still
gets off.
bring a case forward against
the,
them.
the justice system is
listen, we
It's flawed, and it was never. It was
some innocent person always goes to jail, and some guilty man always goes free. I mean, hell, just until recently, you literally could walk in on a man beating his wife, and unless she was willing to press charges,
he got away with it.
Going to jail for that shit. Men wasn't up in arms about that shit. Look at her. How come? I mean, there's always going to be an injustice somewhere. Somehow.
I mean, look at the lady in Atlanta. She fired a shot off in the air to scare her boyfriend off to keep him from killing her, and she ended up with 20 years. How was that fair?
There's always an injustice against every group of people across all race lines, all ages, all everything. As soon as a white teenager kills somebody, they want to look at his psych background. As soon as a black man kills somebody, the first thing they
want to look at his academic background.
They want to look at
he got caught stealing pops 20 years ago. There will always be an injustice, always, for everyone. For everyone.
There's so many avenues to attack, and we can talk about Bill Cosby. That's a separate show, whatever. It's other little issues that
there's lots of nuances to the laws, because I could tell you about some laws that are on the book that are just fucking crazy.
Who's that black singer that had all them girls locked up in the house with him and they just wouldn't put his ass in jail? Who?
R. Kelly.
Thank you.
Man, I ain't checking for all that either.
On in present day, and his ass was walking around just free.
So where was his? Then we could go into argument. Where was the parents at? Where was the parents at? It don't seem like
windows and shit, trying to get their kids back.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them was at work. Some of them working 1-2 jobs to support their bratty ass kid that's out doing stuff that they was old enough to know better for.
You know
what I mean? Because I won't sit here and say that while my mama was out working 2 jobs, I was being the perfect child at home. Hell no! I'd be lying if I said that.
If your kid was missing,
and
you ain't going to work. You're gonna be up and down streets trying to find them. So all of that stuff, come on now.
I'm just saying, there's an injustice everywhere, every day. You can find one.
Fair enough. Let's say there's injustices committed every day against every demographic and age. Riddle me this, no pun intended. The Innocence Project. Who is freed more by demographic and gender?
I don't know.
And this is what we talk about. When y'all make these statements and then
I know
I
exactly
wasn't talking about people being freed from jail.
I know exactly who is released more.
Y'all don't even let a brother finish a thought before y'all jump in.
Well, that's because you just
That's not true. I sat here for I don't know how long quietly listening in the beginning.
I asked a specific question to which the reply was, we don't know.
No, so, I said I do know. White people.
I don't know.
That's what you want to know. It is. Caucasians they walk free way more than any other race. There's no refuting that. You can look at it.
That was not the question I asked. I said the Innocence Project. Speaking of a very specific thing. White men are not exonerated. It's black males who are being exonerated. No one else. Because they were falsely accused and arrested based on bogus juries and facts.
Okay. What's your point?
So when we talk about the unfair application of the law, under the law, black men have always been targeted. Black women weren't being lynched coming back from the military for wearing military gear. Black men were. This is what the show was
about. You weren't even allowed to be in the damn military. All right, so.
Okay, fine. Name me the first black woman that's been killed in a military uniform for wearing it. I'll wait.
What did you say?
Name me the first black woman that's been killed in her military uniform just for wearing it. I'll wait.
You mean while actively serving or just walking down the damn street?
Walking down the street. And I'm not going to say anything else until I get an answer.
You promise?
But I go research it.
You promise not to say nothing else?
Well, yeah, I might not get the answer because I'm going to move on to another segment of this, whatever, another talking point. How about that? So when we look at black boys, whatever, this is one of my talking points. Many black boys didn't have the steady presence of a black man to really break down the game to them. If you know what the game is, back in the days, it was always people taught you the game, how to be relative in a dating game when you start having interest in girls, learning the game. Uh, Even when these boys had active fathers, many single mothers would do what they could to undermine the influence of the father. A reality is that a single mother who has primary custody of a young boy will have more influence over him than his father. The hand that rocked the cradle rules the world. So what's your take on that? Because it's some boys, if you don't have any male influence, you're gonna struggle. I mean, some people get it from sports coaches. Some people may have like uncles, big brothers. Some people learn stuff strictly from the streets. And I'm gonna say when that happens, more than likely you're gonna end up being fucked at the end. So excuse my language. So what's y'all take on that? As far as boys, whatever, not being taught the game. Because it was always nice to have an old head or a grandfather or your dad tell you, listen, boy, this how this works. This is how this is gonna go down. And when you had those conversations, I think for some it worked miracles, whatever, to have people like that in your life to school you.
And the key word is it works for some, because I got two people at the forefront of my mind that had male figures in their lives and they still ended up in jail with all the knowledge and all the game that was passed on to them. You know what it was like? It was like they took it as a grain of sand and
You know, y'all. So a lot of times these are based on the statistics on the negative end of things, and for every sad story, there's somebody out there to tell you an awesome positive one.
I don't think this was
I was
negative.
raised by a single parent, and my twin brother was right there in the house with me, and I made it. He did not. I'm a single parent. I've raised two sons, and they're okay. They're still finding their way in the world. At least my youngest is, but ain't nobody got nobody pregnant. Ain't nobody been to jail. Ain't nobody doing drugs. None of that shit. It's always good to have good people in your life, whether they're men or women.
But we're talking about what's inside the black man's mind, whatever.
Well,
So
I'm not a black man. I'm a black woman. So I can tell you about. You said you wasn't saying nothing else. I saw your lips trying to move. So I'm raising a black man. So I guess he would have to come on here and tell you. But at this point, because I'm not married and his father is 1,500 miles away, I'm just trying to raise a good person that happens to be a black man. I'm just trying to raise an amazing young man and hope that even despite or being blessed with the color of his skin, that he just turns out to be a good man and a good husband to somebody, a good provider, and whatever it is he wants to be, whether his dad or any man is there to help me, that I just want to raise a good person. So it can go both ways. There are plenty of women out there that can tell you that they raised their son without any influence of a man at all. It was just her and her son, and they made the shit happen. There are plenty of women out there that can tell you their sons ended up being complete trash, and where was they daddy at? Everybody's going to look for someone to blame. But everybody's going to be quick to pat themselves on the back, when everything is great, because I know I do. She said, I believe they need balance. I do too. It would be in a perfect world, there would be balance, but it's not always perfect. A lot of us we got what we got, and you either gonna make the best of it or you not. And when your kids get grown, they're gonna make their own decisions. How
Hold
many
on.
parents do you see on the news talking about, I never would have expected my kid to murder a whole school full of people? Just had no idea that's what the fuck they raised. You know, you don't know. None of us knows for sure. And what works for one black man might not work for another black man or any man for that matter, just like a single mom. What worked for me might not work for the next single mom or single dad.
That's why it's not no measurement of when people say
Can't
I'm a
be.
good parent or whatever the case is, because you don't know what the outcome. It could be a damn a relationship your kid got into that caused them to make poor decisions and they end up murdering somebody or something like that. So should you be blamed for not being a good parent or whatever? No, you did the best that you could be. Other influences, societal pressures and other influences may have caused them to do that. So people need to stop. I'm a good parent. I'm a good woman. I'm a good man. I'm a good such and such. Just go with the flow. Eat some goddamn humble pie with 2 scoops of ice cream and just roll with it.
I mean, I'm a good parent. I don't have a problem
Hold
telling
on.
people that. Well, what the choices that
Give me
my
one-
son or daughter may make when they're grown, should not be a reflection on me, and it doesn't take away from the fact that I may or may not be a good parent, but I am.
Hold on.
That's not tooting your own horn. You know if you're a good parent or not.
I never say I'm a good parent. I say I'm a decent parent. My children are alive. They don't have to want for anything.
You know?
I mean, well, they don't have to need for anything. They may want for things because I don't give them everything they want. They may, but they never have to need for anything. My children don't know what it's like to need for anything because I make sure that their needs are met. Am I strict? Hell yeah. My children will come out here and tell you I'm like, some days it's like living in a damn prison here because I just don't take certain things lightly when it comes to my children and their future, because I know what they're up against in the world.
Yeah.
And my job is to prepare them. And to answer Herb's question, the lady's name was Lavina Johnson. She served in the military. She was found dead in her tent, and they ruled it as a suicide, even though evidence suggested that she was raped and battered.
Well, I'm going to say this.
So, and that was in 2005.
Hold on.
So let's go back to the topic at hand.
2 things. Gwendolyn, the link to join the panel is in the chat.
She's in here now.
Okay. Gwendolyn is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Gwendolyn, how you doing?
Hold on. 2, you said she was killed in her tent.
Yep.
Meaning she was killed by...
She was in active duty.
Hold on. Which means she was killed by military personnel, not civilians. This was the question that I asked. I know of the incident of females being abused and killed by other military personnel, which is why I didn't ask that specific question. So when I ask a question, it's very specific.
Okay.
Shut up.
I know, like me, Rebecca, but that's okay. You can't tell me I'm wrong. And as long as you can't tell me
I didn't say you were wrong.
Good.
Oh, don't say that I can't prove you wrong.
I didn't say you were wrong.
Don't say that.
I'm waiting.
Gail Cobb was the first person killed. Well, she was out of the service by that time. She was a police officer.
Listen.
I mean, it just, I don't understand the point of it.
No, we're gonna move forward with that, whatever, because
thank you.
Yeah, this is not what probably
Jeopardy.
people tuned in to listen to. They want the here and now stuff, whatever. So all that stuff, you can do it in the chat or whatever the case is. But we're not about to let that stronghold the show. We got other points to get across. All right. Are we done with that point about the sons and the person with the game, having influences to help them along the way? Gwendolyn's trying to get back in.
No, actually, excuse me. I don't think that really is understood. And the evidence of that is bore out by the fact that over half of Native Black American males don't have children. That's not by accident. Those are strategic decisions that have been made by black men because they can't. Either they're unable or they don't know how to navigate dating Native American black females. As silly as it may sound, they don't. This is why you have the Alan Roger Currys of the world. This is why you have all these pickup artists who are teaching these men to go out and learn quote unquote game. The boys who were considered geeks and squares coming up, they don't have kids because women didn't want them.
But nobody can teach you how to date a woman better than a woman. That's just my thought on that.
Not true. That is not true.
That is most certainly true.
You know why?
Again,
You know why?
Again, hold on.
The advice that my uncles dished out coming up. I mean, because my uncles, they didn't just educate the boys in how to court a woman. They educated us in what to look for, how to spot when a guy is trying to run game on you, and to be able to see through that stuff. So it's not just men can throw game at a boy or whatever, because you know my uncle would say things and my mom be like, don't listen to that. That's gonna get you slapped in the face or a drink thrown on you. I'm telling you right now.
But also, women, they tell people how to run their game to work at their advantage.
Thank you.
I most certainly taught my brothers how to run game and how to pick up women very easily. It's really not that difficult.
Let me ask you a question. How many women have you successfully courted?
Twice, 2 in my life.
Out of how many?
Just 2.
Out of how many?
I don't know. Those are the only 2 that ever caught my attention.
But this is
2 that I actually had interest in.
But this is the point. In order for a man to find out who has interest in him, he has to go out into that world where women are pursued.
No, other men teach you.
Women want all the rights and privileges of a modern society while still holding on to the old world values. That doesn't work for men anymore. So what
worked for men back then? It didn't. I can think of a ton of men who had more than one woman in their life. A wife at home, a girlfriend, a mistress in the street. So that never worked.
But do you know why it didn't work?
The wife at home knew that she was the one on the throne, and she ain't give a fuck what he did when he went out there, long as that paycheck came home.
But that's
the house first.
It wasn't required because a man who had the money got the women. That's not like that today because women have their own money. Everything that you need to live, society has provided you the opportunity to go out secure. So a man now is a luxury to women. But y'all don't view it from the prism that men are not.
Dated a man for his money.
Because.
And he's never gonna have to.
What is she saying? Tell us she can get on camera.
I said that I've never, I don't know, I've never dated a man for his money. So
amen to that.
I honestly, I've just never dated a man for his money. So.
I never dated a man for money either. I dated a man for who he is and how he treats me. Never about no money.
And I agree with her. A woman teaches you how to date her, and it's not. And you say it's for our advantage. Well, yeah,
but it's for your advantage.
It's for my advantage. I wouldn't teach a man to keep slapping the shit out of me. How is that gonna be to my advantage?
Why it have to be to the point that a man is
advantage?
Well,
no matter what race he is,
I'm gonna want him to treat me with respect. I'm gonna want him to be concerned about me. I don't understand how that's. Come on, ain't that what you want? Wouldn't you want to? If you could train a woman how to date you, wouldn't that be what you want?
You know, in this day and age, a lot of times it's the women that's more aggressive.
That doesn't make a difference.
More
Either
aggressive.
way, wouldn't you want to train or train somebody to just be a good human being to you?
I agree with you, though.
What difference
that
does it make?
Women have become more aggressive about what they want from men because they can. They can't demand these things now. Whereas women dated men because they needed their money in the 60s and the 50s.
Well,
and stuff.
that's
now,
what Herb just said. My daughter said she agrees with you that women are more aggressive with their dating habits because we can't. We don't need your money.
I make my own money.
Like he said, we don't need the money.
Home, I got my own car.
So we can be very specific about what we want and what we don't want.
So what are you giving me that I don't give myself?
What I think they don't understand is back in the day, men used their money as like a leash around a woman's neck.
And mad when she was
that's what it was. Men use their money as a leash around a woman's neck. I make the money, so I call the shots, and you gonna do what the fuck I say, or we gonna have a problem. And that's how it was. And it's like now I make my own money. You can't use that as an excuse to control me. You're gonna have to find something else. You're gonna have to find another way to control me because your money is not gonna be it. Because I have my own. I don't have a need for yours. And that's the thing that men miss. During that period when the man was the shot caller, that money was it was a leash. It was a leash, and that's how they controlled the woman.
Now they don't have that leash.
And now you mad.
Let me ask you that question. Let me ask you that question. Which one of us on that panel has ever been in that position?
Which position?
I have most certainly been in that position before, and it sucked balls.
Anyone else?
And I'm so happy I'm not in that position anymore.
Only with my mom. That's the only time I've been in that position when I was a kid. Other than that, not in my dating history, not never.
But that's the point. People keep making anecdotal references, which proves the point.
What point?
Your head on the outlier when the outlier is just that. And I can't
I'm not an outlier. I could think of a lot of women who are actually still alive and still very much married to the men who call the shots.
The question was for the people on the panel. That's my point. You keep reaching for stuff that isn't here to try and make a point.
I'm not trying to make a point.
Y'all made the point. Y'all are
crazy how when I talk about scenarios that relate to the topic, I'm reaching out there in the field.
Let me ask you a question. When the survey is conducted, do they rely on information that the survey didn't gather, or do they go with the survey results?
That's a dead.
They go with the survey results of the people that they surveyed.
You gotta be doing way better than me to be
question about the people on the panel. You said you know others.
And even then,
oh, dude.
that's interesting.
Let me read Snuggle 668 comment. It says, so is she saying if a man did not have money, she would be with him and respect him as a man and have him make their decisions as a man should?
As a man should. He should.
The
most
comment
certainly
itself is fucked up because why should a man be making the decisions? Why can't I? And two, what I'm saying is I don't date anybody for their money. I have my own. Thank you, Snuggles. I have my own. So who I choose to date.
I was just gonna let that one roll on. She was straight for it.
And I don't date for money. I date for a great many things. Money isn't it. Mind you, your broke ass can't roll this way thinking you come to live for free. But I don't date nobody for their money because I don't have to. I absolutely don't have to. The things that I look for in a man aren't necessarily about money. He needs to be gainfully employed and be able to take care of himself.
You said gainfully employed. So let's just throw this out there, figures, whatever. Rebecca, as you as a nurse. Can I
get a garbage man? Yes, I absolutely can. No problem.
That's gainfully employed. I consider that gainfully employed. But
thank you.
Work like 2 days a week and your job doesn't.
But go ahead, baby. What's your question? What were you gonna say?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You as a nurse, and say for example, you clearing 6 figures, and he made $35,000. Would that be gainfully employed?
Yes.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would.
Okay.
It's legal. It's above table. He ain't going to jail for it. Yes, it is.
So y'all wouldn't try to emasculate him when he's not
embezzling or something.
Would I try to emasculate him?
Take shots at him.
No. For what?
No way.
Exactly.
Not, and don't get
He got
me
a
wrong,
job and he
Jay,
making
there
his
are a
own
lot of
money.
there are a lot of women out there that would absolutely do that. Nigga, I make
Yes.
the money. I'm running things. I'm just saying I don't have to do that. It ain't necessary. Your
Pretty much.
35,000 is coming into this house to pay bills, to put kids through school, to get groceries, all the rest of that shit. And if you
Pretty
want to go
much.
back to
As
school,
long
go
as
back
you
to school.
working with me just as I'm working and you in this 50-50, it is what it is.
I left a caveat out to that he also paying child support elsewhere. So now that 35,000 has been reduced. Now how you feeling
That's your
about
job.
it?
That's why you here.
Hey, how about I put some money in and we pay that off? I got 6 figures, right? Let me throw you a bone and let me help you out with your situation. But no. Let me be fair. I'm helping you out with your situation because I love you and I care for that child.
And my thing is
watch
if you're
that come
making
back
the
to
6
bite me in the
figures and
ass
I'm making
that I'm doing
35,000,
something
would you
because
make me feel like less of a woman every time you spoke to me?
Absolutely not.
Then
Because
why would it be any different for us? You know, and I could tell from some of the comments that people got their lips curled. Not every
they
woman,
really
not
have.
every black woman is like that. All of us ain't like
Exactly.
that.
yeah, because Snuggles came back. They said, and
Yeah.
what is the purpose of a man in a household? Can any of the ladies in the panel answer that question?
The
What
man
is
is supposed to be the
Yeah.
head of the
Make me
household,
happy, sir.
but
That's why you're here.
he gotta want to be the head of the household. Not every man want to be the head of the household.
What the hell is the
And
point of
money
being
doesn't
there?
always make you the head of the
Not every
household.
man want to be the head of the household.
Money doesn't always make you the head
Mentality
of the household.
makes you head of the household. Attitude.
Exactly. It's all a mentality. You gotta have that confidence and that self-respect. And if you don't got that, then
What's the point?
you don't have a purpose.
Thank you. You just because you got balls don't mean that you get to roll up in the house and call the shots. That's not just an automatic. That's not automatic. And
I can respect that. Not everybody is a leader. Not everybody cut for it. You got to lead by example and got to lead by your actions. So I can respect that.
every man ain't good at handling the money. Just like every woman ain't good
Say
at
that again.
Every woman ain't good at it. Whoever fits the role, go ahead.
That should be the one handling it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's not about a male or female thing. It's just if that's in your wheelhouse and you good at it, handle it.
If my husband is better at it, have at it.
And that's why we talk about interdependence, whatever. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. So your strengths may lie in somewhere else and his weakness be, but you never belittle anyone for that. You build each other up and you look at it, we're a team. Like, okay, she handles the money and you just roll with it and you trust and believe in that.
If you trust and love the person that you're with, hopefully you can go to that person or that person will come to you and be like, I'm gonna teach you how to manage this checkbook in case I'm not around. I'm gonna teach you how to discipline these kids in case you're at home by yourself, whatever the case may be. But why on God's green earth would I talk down to my husband or my partner because I make more money?
That's no reason.
Out of the house and keep all my money to myself.
To that question,
exactly. Like if that's the case, then what's the point of being in a relationship?
Yeah,
like if you just gonna talk trash to them, then what's the point? You can't honestly say that you love that person and you value that person if you could talk down to that person.
To that question, I've said this once and I'll keep saying it. I want you ladies to go over to Kevin Samuel's channel this week and just listen to the call.
I listened to one of his podcasts. I fell asleep on it. I was like, miss me with some of this shit.
But these are the women that we are speaking of when we talk about these topics. So we keep trying to encourage people to get out of the me, I don't do this, and look at the masses of women who do, because the masses of women who do is much greater than the ones who don't.
Now, did you not just get on me about sticking to
generalizations?
Thank you. Thank you.
I was about to say, did you take a poll of every woman and ask and figure that out? You're making a
Because
big
he
bold
did
statement,
exactly
sir.
what he shot me down
That's a
for.
big old bold
That's 5
statement.
minutes ago.
This
Thank
That's
you.
not a statistic. That is a
whoa,
bold
whoa.
He did exactly what he shot me down for about 10 minutes ago. Thank
That's
you.
not a statistic.
Thank you
That's
so
an
much.
opinion.
This is where listening and comprehension is key. I
Oh,
answered Rebecca's question.
Is that what we're talking about? Comprehension? Is that what we do?
Rebecca's
Because
question.
the basis of comprehension is vocabulary, and that's something they don't teach in schools too much anymore.
Hey, we
which
do
is why
teach that in
Black
school.
children are struggling with comprehension and reading. But let me not go there on that one to answer your question from earlier
well, hey, I
about
like
why
that.
they're having issues.
I said to her
I sit
question.
down and teach them some vocabulary words.
I
Because
said,
anybody can teach a kid to go A, I, B, B. But if they can regurgitate these words and can't tell you what the word on the page means, you got a bigger problem.
I said to Rebecca's question, which is what I was responding to. When I ask you a specific question, it's a specific question. That's when I say you can't. Because you're always looking for the outlier as opposed to answering the question directly.
Okay, I got 2 points I want to read. Chanel said today, so many men are absent in the home. Women have been forced to take leadership positions in the home. Now, this has changed the role of the women, and this is why the man is no longer respected the same as head of household. Okay, we're gonna tackle that. Tina said, I am a strong, educated woman with my own money. I believe the husband is the head of the home, and I submit, which I had to learn to him. Submit does not mean beneath him.
I agree with that. And if that works for her, I'm all about that. I don't hate on that because I have friends and their husbands really are the head of the household. And if that works for them,
hold on, Rebecca. When you say really, so are you saying that your husband would be pretend head of the household when you say really?
What people need to understand is that
absolutely, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I can run my house with or without someone's help. So if he's there and his idea or his way of doing something is better than mine, I will concede that to him. If it's not and mine is better, that's what we're going with. So will he have absolute reign over my house? Nope, nobody. No, not never. But I'm willing to share, and I'm willing to do what I'm good at, and hopefully he will do what he's good at, and everything will run smoothly. That's where the balance comes in. But some women do believe in that. Men are the last word in the house, and if that works for you, I don't knock that shit. Do you?
So let me say this. Let me throw this personal thing. I can remember growing up. My father left us at an early age. I was like 10. So always think about my grandparents. And truly, my grandfather he made the most money and all that stuff. And my grandmother would always say, "I'll just let this man talk." But when we needed something and we would ask my grandfather because he was low key, quiet, chill. And my grandmother, she was chill too, but we knew who was the head. Unfortunately, we knew who that was the head of the household because he would always defer to her when it came to money. Hey, granddad, I got good grades. I need a bike. Can I get this new bike? You better ask your grandmother.
She's probably the one who handled the money in the house.
So that's how that went. So in certain instances, she would say, I just let him talk. And she would tell me this kind of to make him feel a certain way. And I always say that on these things. Sometimes you just got to let a man talk. And you may know, like he just talking, but I'm not trying to say to mislead y'all, but I just think that was one of the examples I used. She's like, I'm just going to let him talk. But she knew her position. She knew his position. And I think when you know your position, sometimes you could just let somebody talk and carry on and you just handle your role. That's just like in any role at work or whatever. Some people just talk and you just let them talk and you do your job.
Exactly. That's true. I mean, the one thing that people have to understand is there are different levels to submission. Just because she says she submits to her husband does not mean that she allows her husband to walk all over her. It's just that she pick and choose her battles. She's probably one of those people who pick and choose her battles and does exactly what David just said. I let him talk and let him think that he got it all together, and it is what it is.
And even if she's submitted 100%, if that works for her and her husband, and she's happy and he's happy,
ain't nothing wrong with that.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because a lot of people believe that, and if that works for you, then do it. And some people do not, and some men out there aren't having it any other way, and there are some women out there that aren't having it any other way. They run shit 100%. And if you want to be with me, that's how it's going to be. And there are plenty of men out there that are like, okay.
And I think for men who feel that they got to be dominant like that and control every aspect and don't want to take heed to anything that women say, they got deeper issues than that. So that's a concern.
But you know, for every man that believes in that, there is a woman that believes in that too, and they need to find each other.
Exactly, they just haven't found each other.
They can be happy. So I don't knock nobody hustle. It don't work for me personally, but I would never hate on somebody else's happiness and how they run their house.
Pretty much,
it work for them.
If your house is happy and productive,
do you?
By all means, do you?
Do you?
Different strokes for different folks. It is what it is.
Herb, what's the deal? What's the deal, man?
I gotta work. I gotta prepare lunch.
Okay. All right. So this ain't gonna be a 4-hour one.
Nope.
Okay.
So we're trying to advance the discussion.
Unplug this. That's you.
So as we look at it, no matter what, we're never, and that's the beauty of it. Beauty of it all, that people gonna have their different perspectives. You can take what you want from it. Some of it you could trash it, and you just have these conversations. I've never been looking for research-based conversations on here, looking for stats or statistics, whatever. I did that shit in school. When they was teaching me in that school, I was like, whatever, because I know that stuff is skewed. You manipulate the numbers and you make it work how you want to make it work. And that's it. But when you want to have authentic conversations, we just throw stuff out there. Just like we were sitting around for Thanksgiving dinner and we're sitting around talking. We're going to go back and forth all day long. But it's value in what people say. And we just have to be able to open up and listen to what they say. So we're never going to come to 100% like, I agree. That shit ain't going to never happen.
That just warmed my heart, because I would often wonder what these dialogues were supposed to be about. And it's nice to hear you say that it's not about the statistics or the mass, because for every one person that you can find that's doing wrong, you can find one person that's doing right. So I think hearing both sides, we tend to defend more on the side of the woman, black or white, that's trying to do the right thing despite what might be in front of her, and always having it thrown out there. But the mass of women don't do this or don't do that. We know that's why we hustling hard every day, just like we know about the raggedy black man. But there are tons of men out there that work hard to keep themselves out of that category, and they are much appreciated. So it's not that anybody's trying to take away from anything about what he said. We're just saying for every time you can say that, there's a positive side to it too.
Yeah. And as much as the scenarios I put out there, it may look as it's a negative outcome. It's always probably a negative. It's always a negative situation, but it doesn't have to be, taken as that. Because if I could add a positive twist to that. That's what I'm looking for someone to add their positive twist to it. It's always.
I hate that he considers us outliers, because I don't feel like we outliers. I feel like there are women everywhere, getting it in, working hard, taking care of their families, doing all the right things. Just like I believe there are Googles of good men out there doing the right thing, working hard, even if they do only make $35,000 a year, they're bringing all 35,000 of that home to the house, and you can't be mad at nobody, for that. And so maybe I'm just, optimistic, because I always try to see the better part of any situation.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that man that make 35,000, he may be the type. Oh, I know how to fix your car. That you ain't got to go to a mechanic.
Boy,
I know how to I know how to do this in the household. Plumbing.
Now you want to talk about what's sexy to a woman?
A man that can fix some shit. I'm telling you.
Stop.
Hey, you like a man that can fix some shit. Boy, I tell you, it's a struggle when you got to do it your damn self.
Yes.
All right, hold on. I just want to be able to get this in before I have to go. For the month of February, pay attention. You will need pen and paper for every episode for the month of February. If you don't have it, you will not be able to take full advantage of what we are going to do. I hope that's understood. Because once we get rolling, we're not stopping. 2, I need everybody on the stream to hop on over to YouTube, click the like button, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. It helps us to bring in more people in, and it helps the channel to expand. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody said a shovel in a car. So we got a lot of good people that had responded with their comments. Let me read some of them. And this will not be a 4-hour show. Because y'all know what? I was tired as hell on Tuesday.
You.
Last week, I was tired as hell.
You.
I appreciate a man who knows how to step up and knows how to be responsible and respectful as head of the house. Swan said, and I think this was for her and her conversation earlier. She said, "Dang, I missed the mandatory DNA topic."
No, that was never discussed.
Chanel said, absolutely. Stats are not always accurate and should not totally be focused on. I would rather go on experience. I like to hear.
Think about it. Most surveys have very, very dedicated questions to elicit specific responses. So they're biased no matter how you dice it.
It's the old adage that figures lie and liars figure. Trust me, well aware of it.
And why are we using them?
Because they give us a basis from which to work from. Everything that we do in this life is based on statistics. Your car insurance, life insurance, how much you make, where you live at in terms of your mortgage or rent. All of that is based on surveys and statistics. You can't get away from numbers no matter what you do. This is why I always bring them up, so we have a basis from which to work from. It's not an absolute. It's not an end-all be-all. It's a panacea almost.
You make it seem like it's an absolute, because
I just said it.
Somebody sways away from it. You bring us right back to statistics.
Those scenarios and things that we are familiar with that may not necessarily agree with the statistics.
For me, as studying social science, I understand the manipulation of numbers and all that. You can put stuff out there. All that is to add to the conversation. Because if you don't fit into that room, you're going to have an argument for that case. It can say 97%. And if you're part of that 3%, you have a different perspective to add to it. So I don't get caught up in those number things. Those number things happen in sports and all that stuff, but even that don't always pan out. So I think it's just a baseline to go with to kind of formulate a conversation. I think y'all want some smoke, and y'all like, oh, Herb ass work.
When I saw the topic, I was very much interested about how a black man thinks and what he thinks.
And I only think we got to the shell of it. We didn't even get too far in it, but that's what happens. Sometimes you had conversations there. One point comes up, and you might be focused on that. So, like I said, this is always evolving. And in fact, while you're here as a panel, where you're in the thread, you can take notes and say, you know what, I ain't done with that point. Next week we need to go back to that, and I will bring that up. And like I said, inbox. We shouldn't be the one coming up with this. I know people send me inboxes, and that's where I come from. But I would like some of y'all, if y'all have something, and some of you have sent some topics out for me, and that's why we'll keep it rolling. It'll be fresh with different perspectives.
Well, in all honesty, Rebecca said something that drove me to this. That was the reason why I brought this up, because she said she wanted to know. See, I don't think a lot of people understand that when, especially during the replay, I go back and I watch the replay so I can figure out what people are wanting to know about, because a lot of people just refuse to ask. They want us to sit there and try and figure out what it is that they want to discuss, as opposed to just openly saying it. This is why we try and bring it out. And the only way we can bring it out sometimes is to make these contentious enough to the point where you will actually say something. And that's unfortunate, because then it's not brought out in love, it's brought out in anger. And that's what we try to avoid.
What did I ask? Remind me.
It wasn't so much that you asked as much as it was that you were curious. You would say, and this was coming on the heels of David not divulging he was a father. You were saying yes. You wanted to know what it was like for strong, upstanding black men.
Yes.
Y'all think I don't listen.
No, we don't. Don't nobody think that.
Don't tell that. Don't put that lie on us.
Don't nobody think
that lie on us.
Don't nobody think that. And I'm glad that y'all made the topic. Literally, when I saw it this evening, I was so excited. And I was hoping that there would be more men on the panel, to speak about that. But we got the two of y'all, and so.
Do you
women just like to throw shots from the comment section?
Do y'all honestly know why men don't come on the panel as much as y'all want?
Well, because they're afraid they're gonna get their ass chewed out.
I know. Up and down, I have to battle angry black women. That's an issue.
It's not even so much an angry black woman. It's just some shit that you can't continually say to us.
I have a very curious mind, and I ask
about being a black woman, because we're not going for that shit no more.
Exactly. I feel like if you say some bullshit, I'm gonna call you on it.
We don't sit up and dog men like that, because we know all of y'all ain't like that. I've come across too many good black men in my day to say all of y'all ain't shit. Now, for the ones that are raggedy, and you know who you are, if I say something like that, that pertains to you. But so many times we have these conversations, and there's always a negative overtone about women, in general. And that's where y'all get all of us talking at one time, talking about hold them up, swole them up. Nah. that shit just nah. I do my best to stay away from raggedy people, men and women. Shit.
Pretty much. I don't got the time, the patience, or the energy.
Well, we know, and I'm gonna say this, y'all might get mad. Most of the situation is that women hold on to raggedy friends longer than men hold on to them.
Hell no.
I'll drop them on
Oh, gee. Y'all hold on for that forever. They could be jealous as hell, and y'all know it, but because y'all went to kindergarten together and shit,
Nope.
that y'all think y'all
I
supposed
can't
to be
trust you,
friends
can't be
forever.
around me. It's
Thank
just
you.
that simple. I can't
Yes.
trust you, can't be
I
around
have very few friends
And-
left on even on my Facebook from Niagara Falls that I slowly, moved away from, once I got here. And I have some friends that have been friends for life and, for specific reasons. But nah, I don't
Give
make
me
a
some
point to hang
nerve.
around
Women are
nobody
like,
raggedy.
true.
Because I don't need nobody slowing my roll down with they bullshit. So yeah, nah.
Yes, I don't have time for women that's just out there. No, nobody has time for that.
I don't have
I
time
don't
for
need friends
somebody
like that.
trying to give me bad advice because they don't like that I'm doing something positive with myself.
Or they want your ass
Because you
to
always
be a
have
bottom
one friend
feeder
that see
because
you
they a
doing
bottom
good
feeder
and they
too.
gotta throw that shade.
Yeah.
Got time for
Nobody
that.
I'm trying, actually, all my friends, we're either on the same level or they're a little higher up, and I'm aspiring to do better things. Yeah, don't nobody got time for that shit.
I don't keep anybody who can inspire or aspire me to do something better with myself.
And I'm glad that's the case.
I got really raggedy friends in high school. You heard me?
She said drop them zeros. And don't nobody really got time for that. And usually like-minded people, most of the time, they roll together. If you're a professional woman, chances are most of your friends, your female friends, are professional women. Not to say that they all are, but people don't have to hell nah. I don't need nobody dragging me down.
And I agree. When you get a certain age, you do not want to hear. You want to hear that same riff raff every day, whatever. And you ain't made no changes, and you've been talking about the same shit since we was in our 20s, whatever. Who the hell wants to deal with that? And it's not that you acting funny, but sometimes people can't handle that criticism, or you think you better than me, or you ain't got time. And some people fall into that fall into those comments.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And ain't nobody fixing to bamboozle my ass into being a bottom feeder because your ass want to be a bottom feeder. You do you. I'm fixing to do me over here. And
all right. Well, I'm not going to belabor the point. I know we'll be back at it. And in fact, we'll have another episode coming out of Cocktail Conversations on Thursdays. Usually these Monday nights is more heated, but Thursdays, you're welcome to come in, join. And it's more of a particular situational situation that happened. And we talk about that. So I know Herb is getting ready to head to work. After that 4-hour episode, I'm still trying to catch up from that.
When I say I struggled the next morning, when I got up and I came home directly from work and went directly to bed.
But
that's because you're getting old.
I am. I'll be 55 this week, baby. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm getting there. I am definitely getting there.
So I'm gonna leave with the customary thing. Everybody who's on here on the panel, if you want to leave with your closing words, and hey, sometimes your closing words lead to talking points for future episodes. Go right ahead. We're gonna start with you, Rebecca. What's good?
And I really wished we could have heard more about the topic, but maybe you'll bring it back next week. As always, thank you for letting me join. It's always an interesting conversation and all that. I wish it was longer, but
Yeah, sometimes
Herb got to go to work, so we ain't got nobody to fuss at. So
yeah, I can fuss at me, but I ain't about to deal with it. It's more interesting
more
to
fun
fuss
with
at her. All right. Brolic T, Latoya, you still around? Or your partner, you got something to say?
She'll be down in a second. She had to go deal with a little situation upstairs. But this is my first time being on, with you guys, and actually have fun tonight. It was a good topic, like we already said, we didn't go into full depth into it, but hopefully I'll be back on into another discussion and join in more to hear about what else you guys come up with. So
We appreciate you and your feedback, and hopefully you'll stay with us and you'll come on and be a part of the panel and give your insight. It's much appreciated.
up here she come.
And I know some people, Gwen, I know you wanted to get in. I was trying to get you in, but I don't know what actually happened. We here. What's going on, brother? We about to log out because last week we had a 4-hour something, and I ain't about to start my week with a 4-hour thing. I'm gonna try to keep a balance in my life, whatever. So Latoya, you got any closing comments?
Same as usual. Just, be honest with yourself, be honest with the people around you. Because nobody likes a liar. And once you break that trust, it ain't always as easy as saying I'm sorry and being able to go back. Some people just can't forgive shit like that. So be honest with yourself and others.
All right. Appreciate it.
For all that, especially nowadays. We don't know when we're gonna go and how we're gonna go. So it's best to live life to the fullest, and that's it.
And I think for me, I'm gonna give my point. Then Herb could close out with his point. And me, we don't know where we're going. And I think it's always about finding people that try to help you get there. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, finding the right people to fit in to get you where you're going. And in certain cases, some people may get there before you, but that doesn't mean that you don't stay on their team and figure like once they get there. Because once you develop a pack and it's genuine, you can say, "Hey, I'm right. I'm next. I'm next. I know I'm next. Whatever." Because this the loyalty we have with each other. But far too often we don't do that, and we need to stick together as black men and women. And I don't look at this plight as a black man problem or a black woman problem. Shit, we in this shit together. We in this shit together, whatever. And I don't care how we put it. My struggle and my pain is your pain. Your struggle and my pain is my pain. And that's the only way I think you have to look at it. So those are my closing comments. Herb, I already know what yours is, but I'm gonna let you say it because it sounds better coming from you. Herb, you popping popcorn tonight?
Growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right, we out, good people. Thanks everybody for joining. Stay tuned for Thursday's episode of me dropping post, and feel free to keep chiming in. And Herb, you got to go to the review.
Yes, I will do.
As far as the winnings, whatever.
Yep,
Like,
and the appropriate people will be notified, and I will timestamp when the appropriate action occurs.
The review book, like it's the Mega Millions. All right, we out. Thank you all.
Bye.
Good night.
Be safe.